It's getting hotter and sun seekers need to be more careful. Sunburn can occur within 15 minutes and the damage is permanent, irreversible and adds up with each exposure to the sun. The CANSA SunSmart Campaign reminds people to be careful throughout the year and especially during summer. To tell us more about this is CANSA Health Specialist Herbst joining us. Thank you very much, Michael. So South Africa has the highest UV levels in the world, meaning what for its citizens?
Well, you know, we definitely have some of the highest UV readings in the world, but we share it with a few other countries as well. Australia is another one that's very famous for its very high ultraviolet radiation measurements. But let's talk South Africa. Yes, no, we do have, you know, and we don't always appreciate the dangers that we set ourselves and that we expose ourselves to when we expose ourselves unnecessarily to the sun. Although we do need sunlight, because everybody, I'm sure, is aware of the fact that we need sunlight on our skins so that our bodies can manufacture vitamin D. But we don't need all that sunshine that we so often expose ourselves to.
You mentioned unnecessary exposure. What do you mean?
Well, you know, when I talk about unnecessary exposure, and then I am really saying unnecessary exposure while we are unprotected. If we know that we are going to go down to the beach, but all beaches are closed now except for Northern Cape, but if I know I'm going down to the beach or if I've got a swimming pool at home and I'm going to swim, then I need to protect myself. Then I need to apply sunscreen, adequate sunscreen, so that I am protected, and I must apply the sunscreen at least 20 minutes before going out into the sun. It doesn't help to apply sunscreen and go out into the sun immediately. And the UV radiation is worse between 10 o'clock in the morning and about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's the danger zone during that period that we should preferably not expose ourselves unnecessarily and while we are unprotected.
Right. Let's talk about the SunSmart campaign. What is it essentially that you want people to take out of that?
Well, I want to say to people, really, any type of skin type that you may have, whether you are fair-skinned or whether you are sort of a nice bronze color or whether you have a higher, a darker skin tone, we need to protect ourselves against the ultraviolet rays of the sun. And I want to send a special message to people with a darker skin tone. Because when we have a darker skin tone, we believe, well, we are protected against the sun. And the rays of the sun won't harm my skin. But we know, and science has proven this over and over again, that people with a darker skin tone, when they get the worst type of skin cancer, and that is called melanoma. When they get melanoma of the skin, they usually show the signs in areas of their body that is not exposed to the sun. So they may get the melanoma on the palms of their hands, on the soles of their feet, under their fingernails and under toenails. And the best example here that I'd like to use for people with darker skin tone is Bob Marley. Do you know that Bob Marley died of melanoma? And he got melanoma under a toenail. And he used to play a lot of soccer with his friends at home. And he thought that he'd injured his toe while kicking the soccer ball around. And he therefore neglected having the toe that was sore seen to. And it was melanoma in the meantime. And that killed one of the best musicians that the world has ever known. So everybody, really, we all need to protect ourselves. And the fairer your skin, the more protection you need.
There are the ABCDE guidelines in terms of doing your monthly skin checks. Just walk us through those.
Yes, let me tell you now, these are specifically that we apply to moles on the skin. And it is so that people with fairer skins do tend to have more moles on their skin. And we use the ABCDE that you've referred to let people really be careful when they observe the moles on their skin. And the letter A stands for asymmetry. And that means if you draw a line right through the middle of a mole, the two halves should be the same. They should be more or less equivalent in shape and in size. The B of A, B, C, D, E stands for border. So the border of the mole should be nice and smooth. It shouldn't be ragged and very uneven. C stands for color. And it should be an even brown or sometimes even a very dark brown color. And it shouldn't change color. If it changes color, then we have to have it seen to. D is the diameter, and the diameter is from one side of the mole to the other side of the mole. And it shouldn't be more than 6 millimeters. Now, what is 6 millimeters? That's about the size of an eraser on the end of a normal lead pencil. If it grows to beyond 6 millimeters, please have it seen to. And then the E stands for evolving, and that means it changes. It either changes in the symmetry, it changes in relation to its border or the color or the diameter. And if it changes and evolves, then we definitely have to have this mole seen to, because that is a sign that there is a possibility of this mole changing into melanoma.
And that's where we have to leave it with CANSA Health Specialist Michael Herbst. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon.